How are we feeling today? It just started raining here in beautiful Ireland, and I had waited for the rain to stop, but we're just gonna go with it. Let's hope it doesn't pour. I also see clear skies over there. But wow, today I woke up feeling so much better. For the past few weeks, I've just felt very kind of like off, like declining, really, is like the best way to explain it. Every time I would wake up, I would be more and more tired. Also, sorry, Rover in the background. My brother's now doing lawnmower stuff. But yeah, I was declining. And so I think everything's connected, right? And we're talking about the void, being in the void. And so I've been in the void here in Ireland. My van broke down. My plans have changed. I don't know like what's gonna happen. I don't know when I'm gonna get back to Italy. You know, there's all these things up in the air. Like, I'm not gonna fix my van if you missed that update. I'm just gonna leave it here. We're moving it to its forever spot, which I think will be nice. Like, it's under the hay barn back there, and I'll make it nice and whatever for the time being. And then, yeah, so then I was feeling this decline, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm eating clean. I do my meditations. I do my brain retraining. I was like, do I need more brain retraining? I was like, is it circumstances? Like all this, chaos. I want to call it chaos, but at the same time, it's like very slow chaos. It's not like the chaos that I experienced in like Italy, where there's so many always moving pieces because of all the animals on the animal rescue and all the people volunteering and just everything there. But yeah, I shared in my last video, it happened to be the well water was like way too alkaline and high pH and high carbonate. I don't know what carbonate would do to the body, but high pH and alkalinity are not good for you. They mess up your mineral balance, and I've had that before where it took me to the point where like I had a near-death experience. I was in the hospital for 2 days, and I felt like my body was it was like at the end. I went to this place and it was actually beautiful. Like I've talked about my near-death experience a few times, but I'll kind of touch on it right now. I kind of feel that I'm meant to do that as I'm like looking at these really heavenly clouds. Like, look at that. Beautiful. I was gonna use this, but you guys know I don't like doing that. My near-death experience that time was like I was healing from my chronic illness, and it was before I started brain retraining and focusing on neuroplasticity and really like knowing much about it either. And I was like, my life was detox. Every single choice I made was about detox. Anything in my free time was about using the sauna that I had, the infrared sauna, doing an Epsom salt bath, a coffee enema, like doing bi-weekly liver and gallbladder cleanses. My diet was an anti-inflammatory diet. We were doing juice cleanses. My ex and I were like partners in crime because he was also chronically ill. And so, yeah, that was the life. And then I did a juice cleanse leading into a liver and gallbladder cleanse. The liver and gallbladder cleanse was also on a full moon, which you're not supposed to do. It affects the water in your body. But I went into the cleanse, I guess, really dehydrated without noticing it. And then I started to lose all control over my muscles. I became very confused. I couldn't walk. It was very strange. Like, the confusion was the scariest part because I just lost my ability to speak. Even I couldn't speak. And then my ex, like, he didn't really know what was going on. He took me to the hospital, and he couldn't come in with me because it was COVID time. And then I was in there, and they put an IV in, and I was like a pro at getting IVs because I was doing a lot of IV treatments for Lyme and mold and everything. And I was trying to tell them it's in wrong, but like I wasn't really able to use words, and they didn't believe me. And so then it was like not gushing a lot of blood, but I was like bleeding out. I was like laying in a puddle of my blood. My arm was bleeding out, and then they closed this like really thick glass thing, and so I was just laying there looking at my arm, and then I just like drifted into this place. The lowest thing that I had was sodium. My potassium was also very low. Some other electrolytes, minerals were low, but the sodium was at the point of like seizing and or death. And so when I went there, I went to this place kind of like above my body, and like most people say when they have this experience, and I was like, oh, I thought I had way more to do on earth. Like, I thought I had much more to live for. Part of me was like, okay, like I've never really been afraid of death. Part of me was like, okay, I guess I go home now, but like that, it just doesn't feel complete. And then I got this like download, I guess, there. It wasn't like anything was really talking to me. Like I didn't meet Jesus there or anything, but I had this download. Like when you go back, you have to start living a life of balance. And it doesn't matter what foods you restrict. It doesn't matter what detoxes you follow. It's not about that. It's about your life, your lifestyle, and your perception of life. Balance was really the thing that I kept being told and downloaded with in that space. When I came back and, found myself in my body, and like the next day when I was released, I was like, whoa. I was like a different person immediately. It was like I jumped to a new timeline. Like I died and was reborn. And then, my ex and I, we started eating some gluten, started having some dairy, a little bit of sugar, started like exercising. I was told not to exercise anymore because it was like could trigger histamines, could trigger dysregulation. So I lost myself in the treatments and all the doctors and like everybody trying to help me because I gave away my own intuition. Like the best I ever felt was when I was following my intuition and doing things that brought me joy and following my curiosity and really deeply loving myself, like telling myself every single day what I love about myself. And so that was such an interesting time, and that brought me to, I don't even know really how we got on the conversation of that near-death experience. Oh, minerals. I think like having those feelings of like that coming on again from the well water messing with my minerals these past few weeks, it was very emotional. And then also we had the eclipses, also being in the void. It feels like going through a death and rebirth, kind of. It really feels like being catapulted into the next timeline. And so this topic of the void that we've been on, it's like when you're gonna leap into a whole new timeline, like a big timeline. Like that time in my life, I pretty much had to die and come back to be born into my new timeline. That year, I left my relationship. We were not meant to be together, past healing together. I think I moved. I found like my really close friends, a home that I loved. It was like my dream home that I had been manifesting, like ocean view, canyon view. I got Arlo. Yeah, I got Arlo that year. Like so much. I began a whole new life. And so here in the void, I'm like, oh, we're about to start a whole new timeline. And it has to be so intense and bring up these feelings of that time because it is in its own right like a death and rebirth. When Ladybug and I had our accident 7 months ago, that was like kind of the beginning of this, I would say, because in that moment under her feet, when I was being trampled by my horse in Italy, if you've ever had that experience, quite a few people on the farm in Italy had it, and so it was nice to be able to relate with them. But if any of you know, let me know in the comments. But when you're under a horse's feet like that, when they're panicked and frantic, it's like in any second they could just smash your head in and you're dead or paralyzed. Like they're big creatures, and she is a big horse. And I was like, this is the end. And I let go. I just surrendered to that actually being the end. And then I was laying there, and I remember like in that moment when you feel like you're gonna die, like maybe you've had it in traffic, like, or like, how did I just survive that? Or like almost a car accident and things like that. And you're kind of woken up to like a new timeline. That happened in that moment 7 months ago. Where I was laying there, I couldn't walk because of my ankle. I had to crawl down the mountain because I had no service. I needed help. But I just remember in slow motion, Ladybug ran away because she was scared, and then she ran up to me, and the way she was looking at me, it was like there was like fear in her eyes, because she thought that maybe she killed me. And then I had a dream through her eyes that night, and I could tell that she felt like she killed me and she didn't mean to, and she was like really afraid. And then she was also looking at me. It was just like she was looking at me like with this complete shock. Like we were both in shock, and it was like we were catapulted into this new timeline together. That, you know, was a moment for her and I in our relationship to go much deeper. She became like my healer. Every day I would walk to her and she would observe my ankle. She would spend so much time just on my injured ankle, and I learned a side of her that I never knew. And I also had a lot of my freedom taken away and was given a new perspective. Like that was that void that I went into too. It was like the next period after that was the void, because I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able to go do my laundry on the other side of the farm. I had to ask for a ride everywhere. You know, we had a lot of babies being born at that time. We had the full Force being born. Aslan, my puppy, and all of his brothers and sisters were born. I had to, like, every time we thought it was going to happen at like 2 a.m., ask for a ride in the pouring rain. Like it was, I had to go inwards and accept help to a new level. And also like, just, it gives you a whole new perspective on life. And so having that experience with the mineral thing again these past few weeks, it kind of brought up those feelings without anything like really serious happening. Like I didn't have to go to the hospital. It was just kind of like a taste of those feelings of that experience of what I had when I went in the hospital. And I think that has been enough. I think that, you know, whatever is happening here in this moment of unknown, like, okay, I'm gonna maybe get a van, you know, maybe convert it, maybe get an already converted motorhome, maybe not, maybe, I don't know. Like for a second I was thinking California again. I'm not gonna do that. For a second I was like, maybe I should get a home somewhere in Europe. Not gonna do that. For another while I was like, oh, I really like it here in Ireland as this beautiful sun comes out. But I'm not going to stay here indefinitely. That's not who I am. I've had this experience of like having to question what I really want to make me get to know who I truly am in these moments and in, you know, in the uncertainty. And I had to ask myself, like, why am I traveling? Why am I living this unconventional life? Like, what's important to me? What are my goals? What are my priorities? And what I found is, you know, the part of myself that, you know, I see in my gene keys too. If you want to join my free training on the vocation, which you can find in your gene keys, I think it's just like 2 or 3 more days of that being available. You can sign up for a time in the link below. And so part of my radiance, which is like what you can find in your gene keys, is I am healthiest when I'm on the move. Like that is just me. That is my design. And if I went back just to one place, like if I just went back to California, I was thinking about things like I'm not the same anymore. Part of me longs for like the comfort of that because of this uncertainty and because it's uncomfortable. But we only grow when we're uncomfortable. You have to get uncomfortable to grow. And I would not fit into the life that I had there because I'm different, and that's okay. But that's also something that you have to accept. Like when you go after that life that you truly want, you will change and there's no going backwards. And that's not to say that like one day I won't get a home there, but I can never give up this part of my life where I'm on the move. Like there's a part of me that like really has to experience sailing for a while. And I don't know how it's going to happen. And I think that's the surrender part of like trusting the universe and trusting, you know, God, the divine plan, the chain link reactions, if we're talking about quantum manifestation, to bring me to the partner who wants to sail with me, to bring me to the timeline where that's available. And I also, you know, want to have a motorhome. I also want to have a home in California. I also want to have an Italian farmhouse. Like I want to have it all. And the thing is that there is a timeline, like just me saying that, there's a timeline where that's all happening. And I know that full-heartedly. I know that with my entire being, that version of me, she exists. And that I'm not so far away from it. And so I had to, you know, go into this time of being in the void, to feel into that and to see that stronger than ever in this moment where it's not in my perceived reality. Like, what's in my perceived reality is this beautiful farm of ours that we've had in the family for centuries. My brother and I getting to spend quality time working on the house, not me on the house because the house is super moldy, but like we just I'll show you guys in a reel or short, but we just took out all this junk from a shed and we made it into a nice seating area because he can go in the house but I can't because of the mold. And so like we didn't really have a place to sit. He's like a really big guy. And so he couldn't sit. I was gonna say he's single for you ladies, but he's not single. And so we couldn't sit in my van. It's too small in my van with all my animals and him. And so we now have a seating area. So like, this time is special. Like, it's exactly what it's meant to be. And I'm reminding myself not to rush through it. So like, if you're in the void, I hope that's not too loud. If you're in the void, try and enjoy it. A lot of you guys have and do, and you've said that in the comments. And I think that's so beautiful that you're able to do that. I go back and forth because I'm not a very patient person, but I have been really noticing all the beautiful things. I don't know how that is. Let me check and see the audio if that's super loud. It's not super loud, but it is loud. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. If you wanna go deeper with me in any of my programs, I have 21 Days to Wildly Wealthy. I also have a free wealth wound guide. If you wanna do that, it's a 7-day journey to healing the wealth wound. If you wanna go deeper, I have 21 Days to Wildly Wealthy, also working on your self-concept and healing the wealth wound. I have 21 Days to Rewire Your Mind, to Know Your Divine Guidance, which is all about talking with your higher self. That's the Aslan barking from Mama. It's talking with your guides and your higher self and learning that language of the divine. And I have many other programs as well. I'll link them all below. I love you guys. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.